Hello friends. Welcome to our channel, IELTS for Life. Today, we shall provide you a practice test for listening. Before starting the test, click on the I button, on top, so that you can have a look on our listening tips video. In this video, you will hear a number of recordings and you'll have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you'll have a chance to check your answers. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you'll be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to part 1.
You will hear a man phoning a London tour agency to ask about tours around London. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen, and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hi, London Premier Tours. How can I help?
Hi, I'm coming to London with my family and we'd like to see the city. We just wanted some information on the best way to do this.
Okay, I'll see if I can help. Firstly, when are you coming and for how long?
Let me see, we're leaving the US at the end of June. We're going to stay with friends in Oxford for a week, so we'll arrive in London around the 10th of July. It will just be for a few days as we fly to Paris on the 13th of July.
And how many people?
I'm coming with my sister and our parents.
And do you know what kind of things you want to see when you are here? Is there anything in particular?
Not really. We just want to see the main sights, Historical places, I guess. The places that London is famous for.
Well, as you only have a short amount of time, the best way to do that is probably by a bus tour. The tour costs £29 for adults and £14 for children for the day.
What time does it start?
Well, basically the ticket is valid for the whole day. The first bus is at 7 a.m., but buses depart every 20 minutes throughout the day up until 4 p.m. 6 p.m. It's summer now, so the buses run later. So you can start and finish whenever you want within those times.
So do you have to stay on the same bus the whole time?
No. It's a hop-on, hop-off service, so you can get off at whichever stop you like. You can then stay there as long as you like and then get back on another bus when it arrives.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen, and answer questions 6 to 10.
What sights do you see on the tour then?
That depends on which route you choose. There are 3 routes, and we call them the red, yellow, and blue routes. There are many attractions, but the main attractions on the red route are St. Paul's Cathedral, the London Eye, and Buckingham Palace.
I'm not too worried about the cathedral, but I know my parents would enjoy the London Eye, so we'd better see that. What about the other routes?
The most famous places on the yellow route are Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament.
Ah, both of those would be interesting to see. And the blue route?
Harrods and Hyde Park Corner are on that route.
I'd like to see Harrods, but I don't think we'll have time for shopping, and I don't know Hyde Park, so we'll not go on that route. So we'd probably choose the red or yellow. What do we have to do about booking?
If you want to book, you can do that with one of our customer service operators on the phone. Or otherwise, you can go to our website and book. Some people just arrive on the day and buy a ticket on the bus. But if it's full, you may not be able to get a seat.
Probably best if we book in advance then, so I'll do it on the internet in a few weeks when we know exactly what dates will be there.
Okay. Well, it can get very busy in the summer over the 3 months of June to August, so it's probably best to book at least a week before you come. But you still have about 6 weeks before you leave, so you have plenty of time to think about it.
Okay, thanks. You've been a great help.
That is the end of section 1. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.
Now turn to part 2.
You will hear a lecture about a famous natural resort in England. First, you will have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Welcome, everybody, to the Guide for the Peak District. Situated in the heart of England and covering parts of 6 counties, the Peak District is a place of outstanding natural beauty. It is just 5 miles from the Sheffield city centre. A short break or longer holiday will allow you to explore some of England's most spectacular scenery, and in the towns, villages and hamlets, amongst the prettiest in the country, you will find a warm and genuine welcome wherever you go. Every taste is catered for, and many exciting activities are available. Here are some highlights of the most popular places to visit. For the most active people, the following areas offer you excellent opportunities for walking, strolling, rock climbing, caving, cycling, and hang gliding. The first place I'd like to introduce you to is Bakewell. This beautiful little town is renowned for a certain local delicacy, the famous Bakewell pudding. It's very delicious. And steeped in history, Bakewell's oldest building dates back to Henry VIII's reign. Just south of the town is the medieval Haddon Hall, a magnificent Tudor manor house complete with gardens, heralded as the most romantic in England. On Sheffield's doorstep lies the Palace of the Peak. Chatsworth is quite possibly the UK's most stunning country house, and a must-see for any visitor. The magnificent ground alone, with their formal gardens, fountains, and maze, are worth a visit. At the heart of the Peak District lies the Peak District National Park, the first of Britain's national parks, established in 1951 to safeguard and preserve this beautiful region, not only for future generations, but also for visitors to enjoy in the present. Whether you're exploring, getting out in the great outdoors, or simply relaxing, experience the Peak District and the Peak District National Park. You will be taking home wonderful memories. A regular train service from Sheffield travels through the scenic Hope Valley, home to the charming villages of Hathersage, Edhill, and Castleton. Hathersage is the final resting place of Little John, while Edhill marks the official start of the Pennine Way. Castleton has some of the greatest show caverns in Europe and the only surviving Norman keep in Derbyshire. The most famous cavern is Blue John Cavern. The natural water-worn caverns are home to 8 of the 14 known varieties of stunning blue Joan stone, which can be seen in its natural state among stalactites and stalagmites.
Now, look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
Further south, the craggly gritstone edges and limestone valleys of the Derbyshire Dales offer endless opportunities for walking and cycling. Please be aware that all children must be accompanied by an adult. There, many charming villages and larger market towns are famous for specialist shops offering everything from handmade chocolates and ceramics to antiques, designer clothing, and equipment to tackle the great outdoors. You could pick up some wonderful souvenirs for your friends. Perhaps the most magnificent and certainly the best-known stately home in England, Chatsworth, is home to a private art collection which represents 4,000 years of European culture and craftsmanship, from ancient Greece to modern works by British artists. Everything about Chatsworth is on an impressive scale, from the sumptuous interiors to the breathtaking gardens and the 1,000-acre Capability Brown designed estate is one of the most beautiful and historic man-made landscapes in Britain. The last resort I hope to recommend you is the beautiful village of Eyam, where there is a tragic tale. In 1665, a tailor in this small village received some cloth ridden with infected fleas from London. The village decided to quarantine itself, but a third of the villagers died. That is known as the famous Plague Village. There are several reminders of this dramatic event, and Eyam Hall tells a vivid story of those fearful months. Eyam Hall is a small but charming 17th century manor house with a cafe and craft workshops in the centre of Eyam. It has been over 50 years since Britain's first national park was established in 1951. Every year, lots of visitors from all over the world come here to relax and enjoy the natural beauty. So if you feel tired, bored about your work, study, or even the city life, why not visit the Peak District? You will find what you need there.
This is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to part 3.
You will hear a woman inquiring about a media studies program. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
I'm looking for some advice about doing a master's degree in media studies. Am I at the right place?
Yes, my name's Mark. I'm head of the Media Studies course. Nice to meet you. And you are?
I'm Louise. Nice to meet you too.
So how can I help you?
Well, I've seen the prospectus for the course, but I'm still a bit confused about a few things and about some of the options for studying.
What's your situation at the moment? Are you working?
Yes, I've been working as a journalist for a local newspaper for the last 3 months. Prior to that, I had 2 jobs in the media, at a small local radio station for about 2 years and at a TV station for about 4 years. So I've worked in media for about 6 years in total.
Okay, well that's useful if you want to do the course. What's your motivation to do further study?
I enjoy my job a lot at the moment, but I feel the opportunities for promotion are quite limited. It's not that I think a master's will help with this, though. I'll probably leave my job, maybe to go into TV or something, but basically I think wherever I end up going in the future, employers prefer to see someone with postgraduate qualifications these days.
And are you intending to study full-time?
Well, I'd really like to keep working as I need an income. What are the options for me if I want to work while studying?
You could do certain modules over a number of years if you like. It's up to you how many you do. Basically, you get credits for the ones that you complete. People usually do the Masters in anything from 18 months up until 4 years. It depends on your time. If you wanted a fixed schedule and attendance and did it part-time, then that would be a total of 3 years.
So what's the admission criteria to join the course?
Well, there are a few things that are useful but not essential. But there are some requirements. Usually to join a Masters, people must have a bachelor's degree. But we are prepared to overlook this if someone has enough work experience. But you must have one or the other. It's useful if you have research experience, as you have to complete a thesis, but we can train you on this if not. It is essential that you have motivation if you want to join the course, as it is very demanding.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 26 to 30.
What about the costs for the course?
The fees for a year if you are studying part-time are £2,250. No, sorry, they've gone up this year, £2,400. Of course, you are paying for all other living costs.
Is there any kind of bursary or scholarship available to help with the fees?
Yes, there are things available, but you have to meet the criteria to get funding. Often, though, the university will actually contact you about funding. Universities have a certain budget available to provide funds, so they will look for the best students and offer them something if they think they will be suitable. You would have to have a firm offer in place to join the course, though, before you'd be considered for any funding.
Where can I go to find out more about it?
The best place to look for information about funding is on our university website. All the details about whether you're eligible, what help is on offer, and how to apply will be there. If you can't find the information you're looking for, you can always come and speak to us again, and there will be a number you can ring.
OK, thanks for that. And is it easy to get hold of you if I need to speak to you further?
Yes, I'm here most days, but you can always phone the office first to check. It's best to book an appointment in case I'm not around.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to part 4.
You will hear a lecture about British media. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
The United Kingdom has one of the world's oldest established newspaper industries. In the late 18th and early 19th century, as the British economy began to industrialise, as literacy levels rose through the introduction of mass education, more and more newspapers began to appear. The Times, which first appeared in 1785, is the United Kingdom's oldest daily newspaper, while the Observer, which is still published every Sunday, began publishing in 1791, making it the world's oldest national newspaper. The different main British newspapers, the Times, the Observer, the Guardian, still suggest that the function of the paper is to offer the electorate objective reports about what is happening in the country. The function of supervising the government is one of the reasons why a free press is considered so important to the functioning of parliamentary democracy. Besides politicians, businessmen paid more attention to the power of the press. They used press to push their products and services to potential customers. So, the advertising business was born. In Britain, most advertising is carried in newspapers. Companies use the press to sell products. People use the press to look for a job or to buy a house. All the British media must follow advertising codes, which ensure that advertisements are legal, honest, and truthful, have a sense of responsibility for consumer and society, and respect the principles of fair competition. British newspaper culture is unusual in the extent to which class and educational differences are reflected in the newspapers people read. In other developed countries like Japan and the United States, newspaper reading is a habit of mainly middle class. However, in Britain, the lower classes are also regular readers. There are more than 1,500 different newspapers which cater for a wide range of political to educational views. Britain has one of the highest levels of newspaper sales per head of population in the world. Although most newspapers are financially independent of political parties, they also express some political views. The quality press not only publishes most serious and in-depth articles of particular political and social issues, but also expresses reviews about high culture for readers with well-educated and within the middle class. The most left-wing of these newspapers is The Guardian. You will often hear people on TV or in daily life refer to Guardian readers. This is a kind of shorthand to suggest someone who is left-wing and liberal in their politics, and interested in society and social issues, such as will be soft on crime or quite feminist and interested in green politics. The other category of national newspapers is the tabloids, which people usually call the gutter press. It often carries some scandals about famous people, whether in politics, entertainment, or sport, etc. The stories are short, easy to read, and usually rely more on opinion than fact. One feature of the tabloid press, which has become a national institution, is the page 3 girl, a picture each day of pretty, scantily clad young women. The broadcast media, television and radio, are tremendously important to British national life. According to Record, British people spend 4 to 5 hours a day watching TV. Whether you are working, chatting with friends or family, conversations will usually be about programs that were watched the evening before. Even newspapers also carry reviews of programs which are being broadcast. If a person does not participate in television viewing, he or she usually is looked as out. News, entertainment and sport are British people favourites. However, drama, comedy and game programs fall in and out of favour. British has 2 long-running soap operas. The oldest and most popular soap show was located in the northern city of Manchester in the 1960s. Compared with American soap operas, British soaps present gritty and realistic accounts of the everyday life of Britons. They are of very high quality and are popular abroad, whether in New Zealand or Canada. You can keep up with your favourite characters. Daily news and weather forecasts are also popular viewing. British newscasts are famous for the quality of their reporting. While there are many channels for audiences, so an interesting phenomenon appears. During particularly popular programs, the national utility companies have to make special preparations because during commercial breaks, a surge of demand for electricity is created when millions of British viewers rush out of the sitting room to make a cup of tea. The British Broadcasting Corporation, more familiarly known as the BBC or even the Beep, is Britain's main public service broadcaster. It began in 1927 as a public service radio station and later moved into TV. The BBC has 2 channels. BBC One specialises in shows with broad appeal, such as sport, entertainment, drama, kids shows and current affairs. BBC Two caters for special interest audiences, and so broadcasts documentaries and shows aimed at particular social groups, such as the elderly, handicapped, homosexuals, and so on. The BBC is funded by licence fees, and viewers must buy a licence each year for their TV set. The BBC is no longer just about TV shows. Nowadays, it is a multimedia business with wide publishing and educational interests.
This is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.